Oh, that's right. It uh, it didn't give me a place to do some stuff I was planning to do. So hang out for just a second. Forgot about the new system. Why are you not doing this? There we go. Come on. I am having technical problems. I am on, aren't I? Okay, it's telling me I'm on, but there we go. That okay. Okay, everyone. So sorry for the rough start there. I was going to do something that I used to be able to do at the beginning of the thing, and as I say, they moved things around last week or somewhere, and it was just a little technical glitch there. So today's going to actually be a short one because I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. I'm tired. I've been running tired. It's Harmattan season, and it's kind of hard to get a good night's sleep right now. There's a lot of dust in the air, so I got to keep the window closed, but then I have to keep the fan on, which I usually do anyways. But there's something about the combination. It's just been harder to sleep lately, and not only that, and not to say, but I've also got a freelance gig. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but I got a freelance writing gig, but it's got a really tight turnaround time. So as soon as I finish this, I got to go back to that. Um, Fortunately, most of it won't hit till probably Monday or Tuesday, and then this whole next week and a half, 2 weeks, I'm going to be slammed. I'm just going to have a ton of stuff to do. But I got to get my portion of it done for writing, because see, I do writing and editing in this case. And so I got to get my writing done so I can send it to them so they can say, oh no, adjust this, adjust that for the client, because this is writing for clients. It's not fully creative, because I have this great idea for this story, and it would be too dark. It would honestly be too dark for almost any client. Um, but it's, you know, but as I say, I also have to turn around and then do the editing, which is the big part because I got to handle like 10 stories. So between those two things, we're going to keep this fairly short today. And the thing is, because I've been so busy, I have not gotten Namibia researched again. I apologize. I will get to that. It might be a couple more weeks, the way things are going. It's a good kind of thing. I have decided that while I will try to make the festival in Nigeria, there's a fishing festival. It's at the beginning of March. A lot depends on how fast I can get the visas once I'm in Accra, but I can't earlier and leaving to Mali on not July, January 3rd, and instead of January 10th. To give me that extra week, should almost guarantee I'd be able to make it probably if nothing went wrong. But I just can't. I can't do it. I've lost. I'm losing 2.5 to 3 weeks with this writing project, which is really good to have. But my life was, the January 3rd consideration was based on before that happened, that concept. So I should be able to keep it January 10th, and my lease isn't up till the 16th, so I could stay longer if I need to. Okay, so my topic today, though. Some people will look at me. I mean, some of you are already travelers and you travel plenty and you enjoy hanging out with me because maybe I'm going to places you haven't been, or maybe I'm going to places you have been, and you just want to hear about it from a different point of view. I do that a lot on shows. It's like, oh, I was there. Let's see what they say about, So I get that. And but some people are watching me because you don't think you're ever going to get a chance to travel, or you maybe just don't have a chance right now to travel. And I fully understand that. My travel early on, I started traveling after college, mid 90s. There was a whole little mishmash of things going on then. And then my plan was to travel like every other year. I had even arranged it with my boss to be able to get a little more vacation time than average, and then to smush my 2 years worth of vacation together and get a 6-week vacation at a time because I was coming so far because I knew I wanted to travel in Africa. Um, and it's like, if you only have 2 weeks, you spend 2 days on either side traveling and then you just run around like crazy once you get here. And at most you get like 10 days in a country. And so I made those arrangements and I did it. I did it twice. And then the next time, I think I skipped 1 year. And then, oh, this one was funny actually. Uh, Although, yeah, because then Tim and I took a 6-week trip to China. That was the big one. Was the 6-week trip to China, and that was awesome. That was awesome. And that was in 2007. And then the financial crisis hit, and there were a lot of years where I just didn't have the extra money to send. It wasn't, my people weren't spending at my job, so commissions were down, pay rises were non-existent, all that stuff happened. And so sometimes you want to travel and it's just not there. The money's not there. Or the time isn't there. Some people have plenty of money, you guys, that work, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, or you just have high-end jobs, but you're so busy working, you don't have the time. And that is a serious consideration. I would say find a way to make time, find a way to save the money. I started out traveling on a shoestring, putting away, tip money, pocket money. Anytime if I got a tax refund, 90% of it went into travel savings or went into savings in general. And a portion of that was travel savings. Anytime I got any extra money, I put away about 90% of it. I kept 10% for fun, but I put away about 90% for savings. And if you wonder how I've been traveling for so long, partly a little bit of freelance. When Tim was with me, he was on disability. And if you saw us traveling around and walking around, you'd see why he couldn't do a lot on his own. So, he was mostly blind. So he was very legitimately disabled. But also, I had a lot of savings and I had it in a Roth IRA. And I'm telling you that because a Roth IRA allows you to pull the money back out when you need to. And that's essentially what I did. So that Tim and I could travel the world, I took a huge chunk out of my Roth IRA. Plus I had some regular savings. Plus we sold the car and we sold everything. We sold everything we could. Just renting an apartment though, so we didn't have like property to sell. And just low budget travel, comfort budget travel, comfort budget, hopefully never a backbreaking night. We had a couple rough nights here and there, but for the most part, it's always been pretty comfortable. So I'm not a rich person. I came from lower middle class at best. I've always lived somewhere between lower and middle class. And my one stint of a really good job only lasted a couple of years. It was an awesome job. They're one of the ones I'm still freelancing for in my writing. And I love them, but it was the full-time part of the gig only lasted about 2.5 years. And so I've never been rich. And yet you sit there and say, well, then how are you traveling the world? And I'm not going to pull with you, oh, I'm doing this stuff with all these brands and sponsorships and they're paying me for this and they're paying me for that. To be honest, I haven't drawn any serious profit from the travel side of this yet. I'm trying to figure that out now. And in fact, I am going to put in the description of this if you're watching it. Some of it's already there in the description, but I'm going to add to the description a little bit that, my degree is in art. And I'm going to tell you how you can, I'm going to give you some ideas for being able to travel long term that are a little less commitment than what I'm doing, but I think could work for some people. But my degree is in art, so I enjoy designing things. So I've done things like I've taken my my travel photography from, basically I started putting it up from all the travels. I've got about 35 pictures up, 35 images up now. So I'm going to add that to my description. I made something that looks like my hat. It's not exact copy. I just could not get the exact copy to work. But if you like my hat, on that same website, I made some shoes based on actually this shirt. And it looks, they changed this layout. Yeah, you can see my shirt. Okay. No, I made some high top shoes with this shirt pattern, and they look really cool. And I'm going to be adding more products to that. I have, let's see, t-shirts. Oh, and I have the guides. I have the interactive travel guides, and I'm putting a lot into those. When I make those, you're going to get plenty of pictures. You're not going to get plenty of pictures, really thorough descriptions, and travel tips and all that. So I'm doing all this stuff to try and help continue to fund outside of the freelance work. And I guess that brings me to it. If you want to travel long term, I just told you a few things. One, I made a deal with my boss. You may or may not be able to do that, but I'd hope you're at a job where if travel is important to you, you can sit there and say, I'd really like this to be part of my compensation package, and figure out a way to maximize your travel time. Um, and as I say, that may not be available to everyone. I understand that. But the thing is, there's something great about traveling long term because you can slow down when you need to. You can speed up or slow down as you like. Like I told you, I'm having a slow day. And if I were out on the road traveling, I might just take a day like today and say, you know what? Today's a rest day. But if I'm on a 2 or 3 week trip and I've got to see this much in this much time, I'm not going to be as inclined to take that day off. Whereas when you slow travel or even semi-slow travel, it's a good thing. But here's some ideas I had for I've given you some ways I got into the travel, the full time. But even if you don't want to go full time, consider this. I know a lot of people in corporate jobs only stay 2 to 3 years because by that point they're going to say, oh, we don't need to give you a raise and blah, blah, blah. And you find out you're suddenly working and you're worth a whole lot more than you're getting paid for. So you move to another opportunity. Well, save up a little if you need to, although you may not need to. But when you plan your next move to the next job, I say, plan ahead and see if you can get like a 2 to 3 month gap between, even a 1 month gap between one job and the other. And, take 1 to 3 months and all you're going to do is travel. And then you have the job waiting for you when you come back. But plan a gap for travel. If I were in those kinds of jobs, which I absolutely cannot do, I am not suited to. But but yeah, plan yourself a 2 to 3 month gap between your jobs so that you can go traveling. And 2 to 3 months. I mean, you can see as much as you want, or you can focus it all in one country. Some countries will only give you a 30-day visa, so you'd have to get a renewal. So check out their visa and renewal process. Some will give you 90 days off the bat. I believe Nigeria is going to give me 90 days, and I might pause for a few weeks there of just trying, so I can stop and do some editing and make some content. Because I'm going to have to do that a few times along the trip. Because if I'm on the move and coming home every night and being tired, it's going to be hard to make video content. So there might be times when I have to sit there and say, okay, put the brakes on, I'm going to pause here. And that's when I find a place that's very affordable and I feel comfortable and safe and it's got a good location, that kind of thing. But that would be the number one of my suggestions, depending on your situation, is plan a gap. The other one is if you do want to go full-time travel, plenty of people do it with doing the sponsorships, or they do work online when they're traveling. There are plenty of remote jobs. I just don't have those kinds of skills. I will tell you, if you are coming to Africa, internet's not always good here. It is very hard to have a job that would be you have to be online at these times, guaranteed, and that would just be a really hard thing to pull off. Even just making a Zoom meeting, sometimes it would have to be understood that, you might be ready to do it and then the power goes out or the internet goes out. And so you kind of have to have the understanding with whoever you're meeting with that they should record it. And if you don't, if you blip out, that might happen. And hopefully you can either reschedule or you can just watch the recording, depending on how much of your participation is needed. But it is a little bit hard to maintain a standard, got to be on a schedule remote job in Africa. Um, but so that's the thing. If you can manage a remote job, well then you're set. You can work from wherever you have a good connection or an understanding connection. And I would highly recommend checking out Southeast Asia for that. They have pretty good internet over there. Um, but the other thing is if you want to travel full time, and I will recommend you do this before you leave. See, I was planning on leaving about a year later than we actually did. When my company downsized and I got let go, it was about a year sooner than I was ready. So I was going to start prepping a side gig in that year. But now we had to get going fairly quick. We took the bulk of a year to get rid of everything, to move all our stuff out, to make all our plans. We took like 7 or 8 months or something like that. But the thing I wasn't prepared for is I thought I could like start a travel blog and hey, we're going all these places. Of course, people will be interested. I didn't understand how hard it is to be a content creator. This is back in 2017. 2017. So I thought, okay, I'll figure it out as we go. And somewhere in the intimidation of not quite understanding what it took to be a content creator and having to take care of my blind husband, I didn't get nearly as much content made as I should have. So understand, if you think you're going to come out and just start a YouTube channel or start a blog, you can do it, but understand it is a lot of work, okay? Look into how difficult, or not difficult, how challenging it is, how much time it takes before you just assume that you can do it. And try and pick up some of the skills before you get out on the road. And that's my big tip is if you're going to do it that way, if you're just going to go full bore, I want to go full time, I'll run on my savings until I get going, is try and line up a side gig or your freelance business or some freelance clients at least before you head out. Try and get that in line before you head out. I sort of wish we had. Money would have stretched a little further at that point. So yeah, line up your side gig or your freelance work or whatever you plan to do to make money. Try and get it going before you leave. That's more important than you know. It'll just make life a whole lot easier because once you're on the road and once you're traveling, you hit the destinations. And like our first place was Indonesia. We had 60 days because we got a renewal on our thing. We went to 4 islands and we had a blast. But like I said, okay, first time I haven't worked in years since I was a teenager. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take, like the first 2 months off and then I'll start creating stuff. And I should have been creating all along the way. I was taking pictures in that, but I should have been creating all along the way. So yeah, set up your side gig beforehand. And then the other thing, for as much as I mentioned a 2 to 3 month gap between jobs, if you're pretty certain about getting a job when you get back, I've heard the term adult gap year, okay? And I think that is an absolutely excellent idea. If you have the means where you can take a year to go traveling, I say do it. If you just plan it for 1 year and just do it. Find someone that'll house sit for you or do a house swap or whatever. Find a way to make it work. As I say, a house sitter of a friend maybe that could use a place to stay. That you trust, of course. Or just someone to, just to look after things every now and again. But I think an adult gap year is a great idea. Even when I was a kid, I did not understand you work until you're old, and then once you're old and not in any shape to enjoy nearly as much anymore, then you can get pension and Social Security and not have to work anymore. That was the original concept, right? That never made sense to me. Like work, 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 and then when you're too old to enjoy it, we'll give you some money and some time off. Um, and that's back when employers weren't so crappy about the way they treated people, you know. I'm always amazed when employers are like, there's no loyalty anymore. The employers were the ones that screwed people over on loyalty first. Um, they started to say, oh, well, we don't have to provide this for you. We don't have to provide that for you. You know, oh, we're going to fire you right before you get your pension and things like that. They were the ones that did it first. So I have no sympathy for employers that, you know, expect you to give them the world and, uh, you know, don't want to offer you anything in return. So, but yeah, now the idea, as I say travel whatever you can, because there's there's nothing better. For me personally, I can't speak for you. Some people like to have things, and that's fine. But I have been so much happier since I have one suitcase, which is a carry-on size, and a backpack, and when I leave again, I'm going to be giving my friend Abdullah, well, selling him all my furniture and all that stuff that I've accumulated here. And I'm going to be happy. My suitcase, my backpack. I will be very happy with just those things. And with that being all I have to worry about. Um, for me, the less I have, I'd rather spend my money and my time on doing things rather than having things. Now, that's my philosophy. I know some people are collectors and they like to have things and they love whatever they're collecting and that. And I'm not throwing shade at that. That's just different personality types. But I will say I love not having a lot of stuff to worry about. Um, and then the absolute best thing about doing the long-term travel, and this is going to be my last point because I did say I was going to keep this short today, um, is that you can take it at your own pace. As I said, you can sit there and say, you know what, I just don't feel like doing it today, you know? Or you can say, oh, I want to do this and this and this and this, and you can do it any way you want. And you can sit there and say, oh, I heard you hear about some new place that you want to go. And you sit there and say, okay, let's go, you know? But you do whatever you want at your own pace. And, you could be traveling as a couple, you could be traveling solo, whatever unit you're traveling in. Yeah, you have to, take everyone's thoughts into account. But yeah, that is the absolute best thing because when you have long-term travel, you don't have to worry about packing every day with as much as you can see because it's the only time you're ever going to be able to get to that one destination in your short little vacation time. You know, um, doing a longer-term travel is really worth it if you can manage it. And yeah, as I say, when I was on a shoestring, I just made the deal with the boss, but um, I know not everyone can do it, but if you get a chance, I do highly recommend it. And you know what? Oh, wait, hold on. We got chats. I'm sorry that I didn't see everyone's chats. I've got Daniel Bracco. Hello, hello. And let's see. And Dream Life. Yay. And Divine Goddess. Yay. And let me go over and see. Oops. Wrong tab. Oh, nothing on Instagram. Sometimes I don't know what Instagram's doing. Sometimes Instagram shows my lives and sometimes I get nothing. So I don't know. Um, okay. So as I say, uh, that's my advice for today. If you want to long-term travel, those are some ideas on how you can get there. And you don't have to wait till you retire. And see if you can do it sooner than later, because the more you can, the better off your soul will be. Okay, then I'm going to sign off here, and I'll see you next time. There we go. Bye.